Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Excellent. So, we are back. Let us share my screen so we can finish. We can finish this. Where we are before we went for the short break is the operation management in the service industry. Now, as you all know, the service industry, what they produce is not tangible. So we might think that it might be less obvious to us that they produce something, but they do produce. Doctors provide services that have value. So they, for us, to create utilities. Same thing with teachers. Same thing with barber, those that cut hair. Um, Same thing with those that provide phone services. So they produce really. And when it comes to operation management, it is all about taking inputs and transforming them into outputs. So, which means that it involves things like suppliers, supply chains, and logistics. So all these things will have them uh, in operation management. That means service industry are also um, part of the production process. Now, which leads us to next thing we're looking at. Well, an example of the service industry. Here I used Six Flags. You all know about Six Flags, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes?
You all know about Six Flags, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Six Flags.
Good, good. Six Flags is what I used as a case, as a service industry example. Um, so if you consider the operation, how operations play out in the Six Flags, we use it as the case study for service industries. So it's a theme park like Disney. I think Disney is also a theme park too. So anyway, although the company doesn't manufacture products, it is still producing an experience. So which means that we can say that the following give us a breakdown, you know, uh, the of what they do or why operation management is so important to this kind of business. So these are the questions that the operation manager there might want to have answers to. Things like how do you control the crowds? How do you control the crowds? Too much crowd. I've seen a situation whereby um, people got hurt, because of overcrowding. Maybe if something happens, the way to evacuate people faster. As a matter of fact, overcrowding is dangerous. That's the simplest way to put it. There's one particular play. I don't know if you guys watched that uh, episode. Well, I don't think episode is the right word to use. It was a singer. So the hall he wanted to use, or he used a big hall, but for some reason he was very popular, and the hall was filled with people. At the point, people started fainting, and then in fact, a lot of things happened there. That some people were the crowd, some people in the hall ended up getting dying because they were stamped. There was a stampede, kind of, like a stampede. So in a crowded place, that can happen, and then a theme park like Six Flags doesn't want that because it's going to cause them business. Anyway, that's one of the questions they asked. Another question they will ask the operation manager there might say, okay, um, things like how many cars that should be attached to the Cyclone of Doom roller coaster to maximize the number of riders, but still ensure that there is safety and security here. For the 4th of July weekend, For example, how many tons of ice cream need to be ordered in the supply, you know, to be ordered in the supply for all the ice creams. Make sure that the ice cream is, to be available. So they have to figure out for that particular, 4th of July is when people like to go out on 4th of July. They want to take their kids to places like Six Flags. So how many tons of ice cream need to be ordered in supply? So to make sure that the ice cream carts and everything is, working well. When people want ice cream, they can order it and then get it. How many should be, supplied? Then there are more other questions that have to do with operation they can ask. Next one is, where do you purchase the park supplies? That's everything from, the supply means everything from the souvenir cups to, pictures of, of different, maybe places that have scenic beauty, or that people would like to keep as a souvenir to show that they went to Six Flags. Paper plates, napkins, for restaurants. Now, how do you staff entrances and exits? It's another one. How much security is enough to, to let guests feel comfortable letting their children roam around the place, especially in this day and age where we have a lot of perverts going around. So these are questions. These are just some of the questions. There are many that the operation manager might want to ask to have answers to. So once they have good answers to those questions, how to provide those things, then they can now be confident that things will be running right at the facility. So now another important question they might want to ask is, how do you manage the operations of this type of business that produce fun as its primary product? Well, you hire a good operation manager. Once you have a good operation manager, they'll take care of all these things, so that the owner of Six Flags or the investors or the CEO will be, feel comfortable, with what is with opening the park on the 4th of July, which leads us to the production processes. So businesses know what they want to produce, but the main challenge they have is to select a process that will maximize the productivity and efficiency of the production process itself. So senior management look to their operation managers to inform this kind of decision. And as we examine the 4 major types of production processes, it's important that you keep in mind, that the most successful organizations are those that have their processes and products aligned. Having said that, the 4 major production processes include the following. You have the project or job-based production, batch production, and then mass production, which I'm sure you know about. It is very common.
I'm familiar with the manufacturing field, and I'm used to doing all those things.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. Excellent. So, what aspect of I remember I'm sure you told me something like that before.
Well, I'm a certified CNC machine operator.
Oh, yeah.
Trade. So I usually do metalworking, but I'm going back to school, so I don't have to be so much at the machine.
Yeah,
that's hard on your body.
Yeah, so at least when you get the paper qualification, when you go back, you'll be at the managerial level.
Right, that's what I wanted to be, as an operations manager. So I'm glad we're going over this chapter today.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah. So because sometimes now the good thing that you have the practical experience, and which is what the industry is looking for now. You won't believe how much the kind of shortage of
Right.
experience. Yeah, you know, there are a lot of them that are looking for.
Yeah, because experience doesn't pay, and education does.
Yeah, you know. So with this education, there you can I mean, the sky is your limit. That's good. Glad to hear that.
Mhm.
So let's go through this one by one. The projects are what we call the job-based production. So in this case, production is a one of a kind, production in which the only one type of item is manufactured at, using this method. So this type of production is often used for large projects or for individual customers. Because the customers' needs and preferences play such a decisive role in the final output, it is essential for the operation manager to maintain open and frequent communication with the customers. So also the workers involved in this type of production, they're highly skilled, usually highly skilled and specialists in their field. So I mean, those who are involved in this project or job-based production. Now, with little examples, here are a few examples of them. You can see it on the screen, I believe. Designing and implementing an advertising campaign, auditing of accounts, building new factory, installing machines, machining a batch of parts for maybe computer-aided design drawing supply. But this is just one part of it. There are a lot. Building the I use Golden Gate Bridge because that. So this aspect of production. So it like I said earlier, it's one of a kind because it only one type of item is manufactured at a time. So this list actually explains a lot of it, but there's many more. There's many more aspects of it. Next is batch production. So under batch production, we use it is used to produce similar items in groups, stage by stage. So in batch production, the product goes through each stage of the process together before moving on to the next stage. So which means that the degree to which workers are involved in this type of production actually depends on the type of product. So it is very common for machinery to be used for the actual production, and workers tend to generally participate only at the beginning and at the end of the process. So for this, we can see things like bakeries, textiles, furnitures that use this kind of production. They have computer chips, computer software. These are just a few examples. There are many, that goes fall under this category of production. So now this leads us to the next type, which is mass production. Very similar to batch production. Yes, it's very similar to batch production in many ways, but the mass production is the goods produced are usually identical goods, and the simplest way to explain it that mass production, under mass production, manufacturing, it involved manufacturing many items at once, and it was a product of the Industrial Revolution. So that is when it became popular. And I give example with Henry Ford Model T automobile, which is as a good example. So each car turned out at Henry Ford factory. Each car that they produced was identical. So right down to its color. That time, the most popular color, well, in fact, most of the Ford motors then was black color. So if you wanted a car in any color that except black, then you're out of luck. But mass production has changed a lot since then. They can mass produce basically anything. Example, we have one I have here on the screen, canned goods like canned meat, canned tomatoes, and so on and so forth. Then over-the-counter drugs, these are all mass-produced. Household appliances. So under mass production, the emphasis is on keeping the manufacturing costs low, as so long as it doesn't eat into the profit. So keeping it low by producing uniform products using repetitive and standardized process. So as products became mass produced or more complicated, I mean, now we have, even though we have mass production, but people still want unique things. So it can be a very it might be a cost. The cost might be very prohibitive, but many factories have figured out a way to make it even though products are mass produced, they might be a little bit customized. So as product becomes more complicated to produce, mass production also became more complex. And I give example with automobile manufacturers here. So automobile manufacturers, for example, must now incorporate more sophisticated electronics into the car designs. So as a result, the number of assembly stations in most automobile manufacturing plants have increased. So now, at this point, we're ready to compare. I mean, I've already compared them before, but what is the clear difference between mass production and batch production? Well, batch production is commonly used to produce several hundred products or 1,000 products at a time. So in addition to cookies or muffins, for example, think of books and Blu-ray discs when it comes to batch production. But mass production is often used to produce a larger number of larger size products at a time. So batch is products are smaller in size, and of course they are produced in large number, but not as large as mass production. Mass production can be hundreds of thousands or even thousands, but larger in size. So in other words, mass production is for larger number of larger size products at a time. So as a result, large scale machinery is necessary for mass production. I mean, now we can now take a look at production planning. Any question before we work on production planning? Any question from the class?
Nope.
Okay, good. So now, production planning is always important for anything you do. So when it comes to production, you can it is the same. So planning, if you don't plan today, you end up spending the whole day, and when at the end of the day you say, okay, what did I do today? Nothing. I just didn't plan. I wasted the whole day. But if you plan it, you see that you're gonna achieve more in a very short time. We have only 24 hours in a day. So if you plan it very well, you can see what you can achieve. You always achieve better. Usually, when something is planned very well, it always, most of the time, always goes well. Yes, there can be some, hindrances and challenges, but still, those who have a plan always have the advantage. The same thing with when it comes to business, when it comes to managing operation at the same time. So under this planning stage, we'll be looking at the facilitation. I would say under the production planning stage, we're looking at these components: facility location, facility layout, material requirement planning, and also things like inventory control if the time permits. So we'll be looking at that. Let's see facility location. So of all the pieces of planning, of the planning puzzle, facility location, the location of the facility is the most strategic and most critical. Let me put it, that's the best way to put it. It's the most strategic and most critical. Once you build a new manufacturing facility, once you build one, then you have made a substantial investment on time, resources, capital, and this thing can be changed for a long time. That's the thing. So you have to really plan it, but be very careful when you plan those things. So you have made a substantial investment. And remember, I use that word substantial. Very, very important. So selecting the wrong location. Selecting the wrong location can be very disastrous, given the kind of amount of time, resources, and capital that you already invested. So, in other words, so the key factors that influence facility location are as follows. You have the proximity to customers. I think I mentioned something like that when I was describing the bakery. Having the bakery in Baltimore City in Baltimore County. So proximity to customers like accessibility. But of course, the same to your customer, you, as a business, you also have a business. There are regular customers. There are also business customers, like your suppliers or people that you supply, that then sell to the direct to the consumer. Suppliers and scalable. The business have to be located in a place that is accessible to customers, suppliers, and scalable. Then there can be environmental part of it as well. There can be environmental part of it as well, because now, if your business is a type of, especially these days, when I would say that governments these days worship the god of climate change, so they want everything to be clean. Like when I mean, the business, it does not damage the environment, maybe either through pollution or through the dumping of waste product that can now pollute the waters and everything. So you have to look into that. That's financial environmental regulations. Look at what the county, their code with respect to the type of business that you want to, locate. Then, of course, the financial incentive. I know that you can go to the bank and get loan, but sometimes some locations might give lower taxes just to attract business to that area, or so you might have those are the things. One of the things that influence location as well. Many. There used to be a time when the corporate tax in the US was some 38%. So what many businesses were doing then was, I think they call it corporate inversion. I think they call it inversion. Yeah, inversion. Whereby, okay, they move their headquarters to country where the tax is low, but they can still make so that they pay low taxes there, and then they can still sell in US. Yeah. But then when Trump came in, he now cut corporate tax to 20%. I think it's still 20%, 20% now. And the US businesses the corporations, we are really excited with that. Now, so instead give incentives too, especially if you are doing a business that is have to do with green revolution. There's a lot of tax incentive they give. You must, consider that when locating your business. Then quality of life consideration, that's an aspect of it too. The quality of life consideration. Okay. Now, then of course the potential for future expansion. If we want to expand the business, okay, quality of life, of course, that one is actually self-explanatory. So now, potential for future expansion. Does the business have, when you want to expand, are you going to have problem with that? There are so many factors to consider in that case. State regulation, country regulation, then geographical information, like is the population of the area growing that requires you to expand to make it profitable to if I suppose you when you decide to expand your operations. So after planning, the next step is the next step after planning the production process is deciding on the plant layout, which means deciding how equipment, machinery, people will be arranged to make production process as efficient as is possible. Yes, that's the next step. That means we'll be looking at the plan layout to use. So that takes us to the facility layout. So the under this, after the site location decision has been made, the next focus in the production planning is the facilities layout. So the goal here is to determine the most efficient and effective design to use for the particular production process. So I'll give an example here with the layout, how well as a service organization I used to as an organization as an example. So service organizations, for example, Six Flags. It can be a hospital, and so on and so forth. So these are come under services. So service organization must also consider layout, but they are more concerned with how it affects customer behavior. So that's the key. In other words, it may be more convenient for a hospital, for example, to place its freight elevators in the center of the building. For example, they can say, okay, let us place it the freight elevators at the center of the building. But doing so may block the flow of patients, visitors, and medical personnel between the floors and the departments. So you can see this. This can tell you how important facility layout is. So having that in mind, we can identify the four main types of facility layouts. You have the process layout, product layout, fixed position layout, then cellular layout. So we can look at them now one by one. Let's look at the process layout. Under the process layout, the process layout definition is created by arranging employees in groups based on similar tasks and skills. So the simply put, the process layout, which we can also call the functional layout. So in that case, the equipment and tools are organized into separate groups depending on the production process. I give an example with restaurants, clothing factories, toy manufacturers, and consumer technology plants. So this usually where we find process layout examples. So we can see the breakdown here. Let's say that we are using a restaurant as an example. And in that case, the ingredient storage is might be located in a centralized area of the store. We can try that then. Employees are responsible for taking customer orders, might be at the front of the store. Then once an order is received, the order is now dispatched to the proper kitchen staff, then the kitchen staff then pull the ingredient from the storage and prepare the food. After that, we have the food that is handed over to the delivery staff or the waiters who now deliver them to the customer. Okay. So next we look at the product layout. So products that require a continuous or repetitive production process use the product or assembly line layout. So in the product layout, usually one type of product is being focused on in the production line. So you usually focus on one type of product. So the product layout process are standardized. So and they are they are standardized along the product so that the product being worked on can be done quickly. So I give example with Ford here. So simply put, any business apart from Ford, any business wanting to produce a product in a large quantity should consider using the product layout example as their facility template. So like I said, I use Ford Model T assembly line. So on the assembly line for Ford, there were around 200 plus positions for the employees and machines that produced millions of Model T cars in the 1920s. So the many economists, historians, and industry leaders credit Ford for popularizing the modern product layouts. And of course, it has a, let me show you how it might look, the product layout. You can see it right here. So it's a repetitive processing. So you can see it used to achieve smooth and rapid flow. So this is where the raw materials start. Maybe the parts of the cars move to this station 1. So the material and labor are working on it. Station 2, materials and labor. So more people are working on it. More materials are added or connected. And you can see the workflow continues. So at every stage, things are added. Now, if it is a food, so it can be maybe at the beginning you have tray and saver, then dessert, salad, main course. Then at the end you see the finished item, whereby maybe bread and rolls, then beverage, then cashier, you pay, and then the food will be given to you, and so on and so forth. So this is how this works. It's a flow. Now, next type is the fixed position layout. So a fixed position layout lets the product stay in one place while workers and machinery move it to as it is needed. So a fixed position layout, the project remain in one place, and then workers and equipment come to that one work area. Good example is we use it for we use this type of production for a project like building a ship, building a highway, or a bridge, a house, or an operating table. So in a hospital, let me put this as well. Now, unlike this one where the product is moving, here the product stays in one place. People come to it. So at the shipyard, you see people coming to the place to build a ship. Highway, people come to the highway. So that is how this well, that will give you an idea of where the that will give you an idea of how the fixed position layout works. Let me put that way. So the fixed position layout is also common for on-site services like house cleaning services, pest control, or landscaping. You can see that it's used there. Then you can see the example of the fixed position. You can see the project at the center. This one is have to do with the industry. Then people come to it, the project, actual work, or the product. Now, then we have the cellular layout. So under the cellular layout, you see that you can see it on the screen. Is the layout combine both aspects of the product and fixed position layout. So you combine both of them to produce what the customers need. So this structure entails mainly the creation of work cells, which are micro units of 3 employees to 12 employees, you know, and then things start moving according to the plan. You can start from late. Those are working. Let me make it a little bit bigger. You can see from late. I don't know. This is where the input goes to materials. Late, then to drill, then to mill, test to make sure it is working, then drill again if there's any change. At this point, at a matter of fact, from drill to mill, it might go through a loop several times before it is tested. Then drill, then go through a loop and again to where it is assembled, then packaged, then the output is bring in the output, which can be any kind of product. Now, we have next thing, which is the material requirements planning. This has to do with the industry inventory. So the material requirements planning, many manufacturing companies have adopted computerized system to control the flow of resources and inventory. So material requirements planning is one of them. So, and it uses a master schedule to ensure that the material, labor, and equipment needed for production are at the right places and at the right time. So at the right places and the right amounts at the right time. So you have the schedule is based on forecast of demand for the company's products. So it says that what will be manufactured during the next few weeks or months and when the work will take place. So the schedule is what says that. Now, sophisticated computer programs coordinate all the elements of material requirement planning. So in these days, we have some manufacturing firms who have moved from material requirement planning to enterprise resource planning systems. So they have a system that run the inventory, as a matter of fact, there's some systems that even order. Once inventory goes down below a certain amount, they just automatically reorder those materials that are needed, the way they are programmed to work. So that the enterprise resource planning system, the enterprise resource planning system can be provide an integrated and continuously updated view of the core business processes using shared databases maintained by the database manufacturing system. So all this has to do with inventory, and also, of course, and the enterprise resource planning system have an added advantage because it tracks business resources, all the resources of business, cash, raw materials, production capacity, and even the status of business commitments like orders that are placed, purchase orders, and payroll. So, in other words, the enterprise resource planning systems that we have these days, they facilitate information flow between all business functions and also manages the connections to outside stakeholders. So we have less than 1 minute now. So we end here. The class will end here, and I will see you next week. Okay. Okay. So don't forget to do your homework. Again, I'll see you next week. You can finish up. This is a self-explanatory. So read up the rest. Okay.
Why are you good?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. I'll see you next week then.
Okay, have a nice day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.